And finally, we are focusing on the COS ratio. The rule of thumb for COS is cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And if we go back to the acronym of SOHCAHTOA, CA is for COS, COS equals adjacent over hypotenuse, AH. So when we label our triangles, we're looking for an adjacent and a hypotenuse, which tells us we are going to use the COS button. So we've got two questions here we're going to focus on. The first, again, is the unknown numerator. The second is the unknown denominator. The process is exactly the same as what we've already been doing. We're just going to use a different button. So first of all, we're going to start by labeling. So we go from the right angle across to the height. We go from the angle across the other side, and that's the opposite. And what is left over is the adjacent, and that sits next to the angles. So we have hypotenuse and adjacent information, but no opposite. So H and A, it's CA. So we write the rule first. Cos theta equals, and it's adjacent over hypotenuse. And like always now, we're going to substitute in. So cos, and it's 49 degrees, equals, fraction line. And our adjacent is our unknown. We're trying to figure out that length there, so it's x. And our hypotenuse is 15. We're now going to multiply the denominator and rewrite. So I cross out the 15 and I give it to the cos, and now I flip it back to front and go x equals 15 times cos 49 degrees. And I punch that into my calculator now. That's 15 times cos 49 equals, and I get an answer of 9.84, 0.885,435. And I think this time I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to put a line between the second and third decimal places and underline the looking number. That looking number is sitting between 0 and 4, which tells me that my number is not going to change. So it's 9.84, and the units of measurement are meters. So again, just quickly going back through this, we labelled the triangle and figured out we had the hypotenuse and adjacent information, which told me it was a cos button that we were going to use. We wrote the rule, we substituted in, we multiplied the denominator and rewrote it and then flipped it back to front. We calculated 15 times cos button 49 equals, wrote the whole answer out, and I chose to round to 2 decimal places, and then of course the units of measurement must go on the end. Alright, the question over on the right hand side, very similar process. We're going to start with labelling the triangle first. So we do the hypotenuse first, which is opposite the right angle. We then go to the angle given to us, and we go across the other side and label the opposite. And last is the adjacent, which sits beside the angle. And again, you can see I've got hyper information and adjacent information and not opposite. So AH, CA, tells me it's the cos button. So again, we have to write the rule. Cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And our second line of working is the substitution. So we change theta for 72. And now we have the denominator on the bottom because my adjacent is 12.3 and it sits on top. And my unknown is the height, which is the x. Now I need to do some swapping. I'm going to circle the x and the cos 72, and I'm going to swap it. So the x now sits on the left, the 12.3 sits alone on the top as it did before, but now my cos 72 is now on the bottom. And now I work down and I calculate 12.3 divided by cos button 72 equals, and I get a nice big number of 39.8036312. And I think I might do 2 decimal places again here. So I'm going to put a line between the second and third decimal place and underline the looking number. And that looking number is 3. If it sits between 0 and 4, it tells me that my rounding number will stay. So my answer is 39.80, and the units of measurement are centimetres. And just to go back through what we've just done there, we labelled the triangle first. We identified the information that it was a cos, so we wrote the rule. We substituted in, and then we swapped x with cos 72, and then we rewrote it. We calculated down. We said 12.3 divided by cos button 72 equals. We got this large number, and I decided to round to 2 decimal places, wrote the answer, and then made sure I placed in the units of measurement.